top Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee, Representative Adam Smith. These numbers are not very encouraging for the president right now, Congressman. The latest poll numbers show 57% of Americans disapprove of the president's handling of foreign affairs, 54% disapprove of his handling of terrorism, 57% disapprove of the way he's handling ISIS. What does he need to do to get a majority of Americans to think he's doing the right thing?
Well, I think, first of all, to clearly and comprehensively explain his strategy. One of the other poll numbers you mentioned earlier was the number of people who think that we ought to send ground troops, which I think would be the exact wrong approach. That would empower ISIS. That would have them fighting off Western invaders, which would, I think, add to their appeal. What we need to do is what the president has outlined. Build support amongst Sunni Arabs in the region to fight that fight and support them. Now, I think we were a little slow to do that in Syria. I've been arguing for some time that we should have been supporting the moderates there, the people who were not backing ISIS, the Free Syria movement and others. But I think more than anything, he just needs to explain that strategy consistently and show a commitment to it. I am worried that we will think that, well, because things aren't going well, military force must be the answer. I think we learned in Iraq and in Afghanistan that there is a limit to what U.S. military force can do in terms of reshaping a nation in the Muslim world. We need Muslim allies. That's what we have to work on.
Because that poll number you mentioned, I was surprised when I saw it as well. Should the U.S. send ground troops to fight ISIS? 47% favor it, 50% oppose. That's almost an even split right now. You say the U.S. should not send ground troops. Are you with the president on the language he submitted to Congress last week for military authorization to go ahead and fight this war?
I think it's a good start. I want to make sure it's not too open-ended. This president is only going to be in office for a little less than 2 years, so another president will have this authority as well. So we can't simply rely on what President Obama has said he's going to do. And we've already seen how the 2001 AUMF was expanded beyond what was imagined at that time. I'm worried about the language about associated forces, but I think overall putting a time limit on it and putting a limit on the use of ground troops makes sense. And I think Congress should give the president the authority in this fight. But we have to do it in a way that makes sense and is not unlimited.
Well, let's see if the Republicans and the Democrats can get together, because this is the sort of strange situation. The Republicans want to give the president more military authority. The Democrats want to restrain that military authority on a Democratic president. So it's a little, but we'll get back to that. I want to turn to the video that was released over the weekend, horrible video of ISIS showing the murder of 21 Egyptian Christians in Libya. So this is just brutal, the way these individuals, these Egyptian Christians who had gone to Libya to work, were simply beheaded, most of them, by these ISIS terrorists. What should the U.S. do as far as expanding airstrikes right now, not only in Syria and in Iraq against ISIS, but maybe to include Libya? Would you be in favor of that?
If we had targets, if we had clear targets to hit, I think we should. I think also we need to work very closely with Egypt as an ally. I know Egypt has been very actively involved in Libya trying to turn back ISIS as well. Again, we need to work with our allies. We need a united front amongst the countries in that region who frankly, are far more threatened by ISIS directly than we are. We mentioned at the top of the show here the concerns, and they are real in the U.S. and they are real in Europe. But by far, the most carnage that's being caused by ISIS is being caused in the Muslim world. So we need them to unite against ISIS and put together a cohesive coalition to fight them. We had a meeting with King Abdullah of Jordan. They are very committed to it. Egypt is committed to it. We need to build on that and build a solid coalition.
Congressman Smith, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Wolf.